Venerable, can you please tell us what the statue on the white peacock in the gracious hall represents? The statue on the white peacock represents the previous transformed body of Sakyamuni Buddha. The Sakyamuni Buddha was a peacock king. In other words, he was the king of peacocks. Peacocks. You know peacocks? The king of peacocks, and ruling the peacock kingdom, all the peacocks, the birds. And of course, that's in the animal realm, of course. He was the king of the peacock realm. And then he always chanted the peacock mantra, which is Om Mayura Kirande Swaha. Very simple, peacock, the mantra. And whenever he chanted this, he always regularly chanted this mantra, and he was able to be free from many, many troubles, sufferings. And one day, he was out in the wood playing with his concubines and girlfriends and all these peacocks, ladies, courtesans and sands and so on. And he was so playful, everybody was so playful and so overwhelmed by joy that on that particular day, the Peacock King forgot to chant the mantra. And somehow, later in the day, he was caught by a net of the hunters. He was fell into the net. And he was all tied up with the net. And immediately he felt so remorseful because he forgot to chant the mantra. He was really sorry about that. He forgot about his mantra. So he started it over again. It's the Om Mayura Granti Swa, Om Mayura Granti Swa, Om Mayura Granti Swa. He chanted so fervently, so enthusiastically that somehow he was able to get off from the net. He was able to get away. So that was one life. He was able to get away from the net after chanting the mantra. So this story, a previous life story of Sakyamuni, was written in the Peacock Sutra, and later Sakyamuni Buddha told all his disciples about his peacock life, and then added on many sutras, many mantras into the sutra, and we call it the Peacock Sutra. And in that sutra, he contains sutras of invoking the gods and semi-gods and ghosts and controllers of earth and tree gods and river gods, forest gods, into chanting mantra. So that's called a peacock mantra. And it was written in a mantra that, and it had been tried out by many followers since 2000 a few years ago, 2000 years ago, that frequently chanting this mantra would prevent the country from earthquake, from tsunami, from catastrophes, from many natural disasters. By chanting this mantra, the country would be able to be effective in getting rid of the earthquakes and tsunami. And it was practiced in esoteric Buddhism because that meant the Peacock Sutra contains 39 mantras. Some of them are quite long. And it was practiced in the Tang Dynasty in China. And somehow it was forgotten because of the Chinese wars. Because since the Tang Dynasties, there have been so many wars internally, plus the World War, plus many, many wars, that nobody practiced it anymore. But in the Tang Dynasty, a monk from Japan was sent by the king to come over to China in the Tang Dynasty, which is about 1,200 years ago. A monk sent by the Japanese king at that time to study this mantra in China. And after he studied it, he brought the sutra back to Japan and became the founder in that school of thought in chanting the peacock mantra in esoteric Buddhism. And the chanting of this was always carried out in the palace of Japan. In other words, it was an esoteric practice of imperial palace of Japan, not of the common people, because the king wanted the country to be always free from earthquake. Japan is quite, we all know, well known that Japan is subject to earthquake and tsunami. So the king already knew about that, so he sent that monk to learn all that, brought back that sutra particularly, and they have been practicing it since 2,000 years ago. 3 months ago, I went to visit 88 temples. We visited 44 temples out of the 88. And most of these temples were practicing this Peacock Sutra because the king instructed that monk to build 88 temples teaching his subjects to chant that mantra. So there were 88 temples along the coastline, completion of construction in 3 years in the Tang Dynasty around that time. And we visited 44. We visited 44 of these. And so it is still believed that the Peacock mantra plus other 39 mantras in the sutra are very effective. They were immediately effective. So we practiced it 2 times in there. Our intention is to prevent British Columbia from earthquake. I've been always thinking about what's the best way to prevent earthquake other than what we can do, or the preventive techniques, tools, precautions that we have, like storing up a lot of water, making sure that when you get trapped, you have bread, you have food, you have all that, all preparation, all precautions. Other than that, what spiritual method we can use to prevent earthquake? And when I knew about this, I immediately brought it to this temple. So we practiced that 2 times already for 1 day. It takes 1 full day to chant the mantra. And so what I did is we practiced it without the statue, actually, many months ago. And then I ordered the carving of this statue from China. And it was shipped from China so that we have the statue in which we can do the esoteric Buddhism, the esoteric practice of chanting this mantra. You can join later, but it's in Chinese. I plan to translate it into English. The mantra was annotated with alphabetic romanization, so you can actually chant it. But I plan to translate the mantra into English, the meaning into English too. So that's what my intention. I want British Columbia to avoid the oncoming of an earthquake, which is quite imminent, which is quite imminent, because the geologists say that every 500 years, British Columbia along the coastline will have a 9.2 on the Richter scale of earthquake. Nothing humans can do. That's natural. That's Mother Nature. But even though nothing we can do, we still want to do something, because there are a lot of earthen gods, river gods, I believe, who can prevent from such catastrophe to happen. So I plan to do that every month, chanting that esoteric practice for the whole day, from morning to night. Setting up a mandala for the practice, for the esoteric practice. Last time we have 125 people. I haven't told you. The reason why I haven't told you to participate is all in Chinese. So you'll find it boring. But I'm waiting to translate it into English so that you can participate too. Participate, give whatever participation you can to work towards avoidance of an earthquake in Vancouver or in British Columbia, which would be imminent. It will come one day. We don't know. It could be tomorrow. Hopefully not. Tomorrow is Sunday. I still want to, but we don't know. You think we can avoid it? Every 500 years. The last time we had it in the 1700.
January the 5th.
January the 5th.
Oh, yeah. Because the Japanese got a tsunami and they had no earthquake. And they couldn't figure it out. And they realized later on that it actually came from the Cascadia, going right back at the time from the records that the Japanese have been keeping for thousands.
So it was 700. At that time, we didn't have any high-rise building. We only have bungalows, right? Farm, huh? What?
Indian settlements.
Just Indian settlement, and those Indian, what is going on? They don't know. So that's it. So it was so serious in the Richter scale, 9.
They've been happening 20, 30 or 40 500-year segments back for 50,000 years or more.
So next time, come to participate. Put in your share of the participation, and according to the sutra, it works. And that executorial practice was practiced in the imperial palace of Japan. It wasn't in the common people. Common people didn't know how to do it, but we learned. I've been learning it. I spent maybe close to 60 hours to translate it and actually go through the sutra. I'm learning every day. I'm learning new sutras every day. I never stop. But that's my interest. So it doesn't mean that I learn all this and I'm telling you what I have learned 10 years ago. I'm still learning every minute of it. And this is something that I learned just about 6 months ago, and I'm still learning it. I'm still picking it up. I'm still improving on it, and it will be great because at least it gives you a comforting feeling that you can do something about it. Who wants to join? See, nobody raised his hands. See, see, only a few people. The rest, you want to subject yourself to an earthquake, or you don't want to. So next time, so we'll tell you to come. Participate your share. Who knows? Maybe it works. And also, everybody should contribute his share to the society, even his heartfelt spiritual devotion. That's good enough. Yeah, you don't need money. You're just your participation, your time. If you can't even participate your time, well, too bad. All right, that's the question. Next question. Please enlighten us on the names on the 7 Buddhas mirror of war, and read that Maitreya Buddha as the 5th, the last earthly Buddha. Besides Sakyamuni Buddha, what were the names of the 3 earthly Buddhas? I think you got your information wrong. Maitreya Buddha is not the 5th, was not the 5th and the last earthly Buddha. No, that's not right. But in the history of mankind, the last Buddha who appeared in India 2,600 years ago was Sakyamuni Buddha. He was a prince, Siddhartha Gautama, actual person. There was such an actual person in the history of mankind. He was a prince, Siddhartha Gautama. He became an ascetic, and he went to learn Buddhism and to learn meditation, and going through hardships and ascetic practices, he became enlightened, and he became a Buddha. And then later introduced this enlightened method to now that we have Buddhism. That's Sakyamuni Buddha. Kassapa Buddha was before Sakyamuni Buddha. So many thousands and thousands of lifetime ago, there was another Buddha earlier than Sakyamuni Buddha, and the name of this Buddha was Kassapa Buddha. So Kassapa Buddha. The 7 Buddhas. There were 7 Buddhas. There were 6 Buddhas before Sakyamuni Buddha. So the immediate Buddhas were 7 Buddhas before. And Maitreya Buddha is the future Buddha who will appear in this world. We don't know how long later. 100, 200 years, 300 years, we don't know. Until there's no more Buddhism in this world, no more Buddhism in this world, then Maitreya Buddha will be reborn, like Sakyamuni Buddha was reborn as a prince and introduced Buddhism, Sakyamuni Buddha. The next Buddha was Maitreya Buddha. So that's what it is. Don't be misled that Maitreya Buddha is the fifth or the last Buddha. No. And after Maitreya Buddha, there will be another Buddha. There were so many Buddhas already, millions of Buddhas. And they were all enlightened. They were like you. So you are a future Buddha. They were like you and me. If you call Buddha a God, if you call Buddha a God, you are God. You have that God nature in you. You will be God. If you like to call Buddha a God, okay? So there's no such thing as a creator, a master God. No, you are that God. You haven't discovered your godness in you. And Sakyamuni Buddha already have discovered that godness in him, that Buddhic mind. All right? Okay. Another question. Could you please talk about the top 3 things a layperson should keep in mind when practicing yogacara? The top 3 things? Why not the top 1 thing? Or 2 things, 3. Top 3 things, I don't think there's any top 3 things, but if you really want me to name the top 3 things, studying the yogacara, practicing yogacara, well, watch your senses, number 1. Watch your eyes, or don't say watch. Watch means visual. Be mindful of how your eyes attach, your ears, your sense organs. Be mindful of your sense organs attaching to environs, attaching to objects. Be mindful of it. That's number 1. Top thing, be mindful. Because you're not mindful. If you are mindful, you control yourself. You're not mindful. Sometimes when someone said something that could be, that you think it's discriminative, or that you think that is insulting, you will get mad immediately. Watch that. Don't get mad. Okay? So watch or be mindful of your sense organs. Second thing, in case you couldn't do it in the first thought, or that guy scolded at me, why did he do that? That's a first thought. So, oh no, I shouldn't be mad. If you create that first thought, the second important thing is don't let that first thought linger on. Stop it. Throw it away. That garbage thought has come up. The second thing is throw it away. That's the second thing. The third thing, don't allow that thought to continue into a third thought. If you wanted to name 1, 2, 3, first of all, identify that. Then don't let that be carried away. If you carry away, put it back again. 1, 2, 3. Simple. Okay? That's it. I really enjoyed today's lecture. Yeah? Everybody thinks so, or you're just the only guy? I don't know. Yeah. All right. Okay. Venerable, what are your own or Buddhism's thoughts on the medically assisted termination of life for terminally ill patients in various forms of vegetative state or pain? Well, according to causality, everybody's dying moment has a causality in it. If he has not served out his karma, don't terminate his karma. You have no right. You shouldn't terminate his karma. If he has to suffer, maybe after he paid off the debt of suffering, he won't suffer anymore. But you stop the suffering now, and in another life, he has to carry on the debt. It may be, I don't know, if the debt is interest-bearing. If it's interest-bearing, then that suffering could be even more serious. So don't kill. If you terminate a life before its death, that's equivalent to killing. If you commit suicide, that is killing too. You're killing your own self. That is killing. And killing has a lot of karmic energy attached to it that you will have retribution. So don't terminate a life. Let it flow naturally. If he has to suffer, maybe after he suffers that, he'll be in heaven, or he will be reborn in Amitabha's land, or he will be a human again, but then he will practice Buddhism and he will get nirvana. He will get enlightenment. We don't know. Let that person naturally die. But you try to help in all ways. In every way, you try to help survive him. Don't give up hope. Don't say that, oh, this is my relative and he's dying. I don't have to help him because after all, death is natural. If he has to suffer, let him suffer. If he doesn't have to suffer, he doesn't have to suffer. No, you have to be compassionately, use your compassion to survive him, to let him survive, to let him recover.